Gloomwood is a wonderful game. I mean it. For someone like me who absolutely adores immersive sims and a focus on multiple approaches to a situation with minimal hand-holding, this game has it all. Inspired by other series in the genre such as Thief and Dishonored, but also taking cues from games like Resident Evil and Bloodborne, it features stealth-based gameplay in a gothic steampunk setting mixed in with survival horror. I could gush about this game for hours and hours, talking about all of the mechanics featured and how they interact with each other to create this amazing experience, but this isn't what this video is about. You see, I actually only started playing this game a few weeks ago, and I'm already done with it. The game isn't even finished, and at the pace development is going, I'm not expecting a 1.0 release until like 2 years. Being generous. Very generous. Lucky for me though, immersive sims have immense replayability. Not only because of the different approaches you can take to any situation, but also due to the challenges you can subject yourself to, hence the topic of this video. The night after finishing this game, I decided to go for another run, checking alternate paths and methods to advance through the areas, and ended up finding a bunch of shortcuts, skips, and other weird tech to progress through the game. Most of these didn't even require you to use anything in the inventory at all, so that got me thinking. Could I beat Gloomwood without my inventory? Well, I've done some runs and I believe I've achieved probably the best result we can get so far. Almost. But more on that later in the video. For now, let's lay down the guidelines of this challenge. I am not allowed to pick up the suitcase. The suitcase is the inventory system of this game, and without it I can't do anything with items except hold and throw one at a time in the world. This will also limit my healing as I can't use tinctures, but I can still eat food items. I can't pick up any item I can get without an inventory, except for the Underport seal, which is required to continue, or in the case of the current version, finish the story so far. I can still pick up and steal keys. A couple of the areas in the game, though not too many, are impossible to access without some keys, so I'll still need them to progress. I can technically also get money, but there's absolutely no use I can get out of it with my limitations. All other items I need must be carried if necessary. This is going to come up a bunch of times, and it's probably the thing that makes this run really work. Finally, and for the purposes of completing the run, I am allowed to no-clip and only no-clip to progress in an area as long as it's the minimum amount necessary, and when nothing else has worked. I would naturally go out of bounds instead, but most of these skips have been researched by myself, and finding something like an out of bounds spot is a bit harder than that. With the rules laid down, we can now start the run and see if it's possible to finish Gloomwood without an inventory. Oh, and as a disclaimer, like I said, I only finished this game a few weeks ago. I'm by no means a professional or an expert in speedrunning or skipping this game, and most of the skips you're gonna find were found in a day of work. If you have any suggestions, improvements, or ideas for whatever part of the video you find here, please let me know. I'd be really happy to read your comments. We awaken to find ourselves trapped in a cage with no escape. Two of our jailers approach, briefly mention that we're to be sent away to the city, and just like that, the game begins. Just when it seems like there's no escape, a stranger arrives with a flash of green light. He briefly explains the situation and offers his help in the shape of a ring that will allow us to be more aware of our surroundings. Unfortunately, I can't really accept the ring according to the rules, so if you could just let me out anyway.
Find a way, Doctor. Pick that up. The guards will be back soon.
Right. Despite what he says, no guards will come back and the merchant won't let us out until we pick up the ring. It seems like the run's already doomed, however we have a small skill we can use to get out ourselves. By pressing ourselves against the door, then doing a combination of leaning in game and flicking our mouse, we can get just enough reach to interact with the lever controlling the cell door. don't fret if this part isn't consistent for you. It takes a bit of practice to get it right, and I myself still struggle to do it, as you can see. Would I consider this out of bounds? Well, you know, let's just say the doctor's really stretching his arm and grabbing at that lever. Nothing out of the ordinary. We head out, leaving behind Mr. What are you buying? Still shocked at the fact we could have left any time we wanted. Usually we would go through this little crawl space, which eventually takes us to our inventory. However, in this case, we don't much care for that. The goal of this challenge, after all, is not to follow the game's normal beats, but simply just to finish it. As such, we'll jump up onto this beam, distract this guard, go up the chain, break a window, and then use whatever favorite method you have of making your way the hell out of there. Preferably one that doesn't involve being spotted and shot at. And with that, we leave the fishery and enter the mines. Filled with numerous dangers and a new enemy type, this area is not one to be trifled with, and any misstep could result in death. That is, unless you simply drop down here, go to the door that's supposed to be locked by a metal crate, press yourself against the door, and then just a little bit of nudging here and there, and just a little bit more. Just a couple more. And then you grab that crate, slam it out. Boom, congratulations, you did it. You just skipped the entire area and are just a skip and a hop away from the dark and into the cliffside. We save here because we're in full moon for a reason, we're not stupid, and we reach the first obstacle in the area. These fine gentlemen are having a discussion about a situation that probably doesn't involve us, but our fine manners and our social anxiety prevent us from making things awkward by just waltzing by them, so instead we do the sensible thing and take an incredibly ridiculous route just so we don't have to make eye contact. From here we just keep avoiding patrols and the rest of the walk goes without any problems, eventually going up this cliffside and finding ourselves at the entrance of the Slaughtered Goat. A fine tavern, and so far one of the greatest experiences you can find in the game. However, as amazing as this section of the game is, it'd be counterintuitive to the challenge, so I'll be taking my leave and skipping over this wall. By the way, I hope you enjoy the relative ease we've been having with this challenge. It's gonna get worse from here. Once we enter the lighthouse, we save the game and the merchant talks to us through a recording in the gramophone, guiding us to his store and advising us not to look through the mirror in the back room. We heed his advice, for I know in advance that looking in it would have us speak to a woman, and I know there's no more terrifying experience for the youth of today, myself included. So we'll just make our way down the secret passage and... right. Up until now, we've never been faced with the fact that we not only don't have an inventory, but we're also missing our trusty sword, pierced with wooden boards and huntsman backs alike. However, this is still not cause for alarm. Most problems in these types of games can just be solved via use of very dubious parkour techniques, which is exactly what we'll be doing here. Going back outside and into this locked gate, we're gonna climb this very odd object, which according to people that don't spend their weekends writing a script for a YouTube video is called a tree. This will enable us to climb this window here, which gets us past the gate and leads us to one of the most complex puzzles yet. This small section is the last obstacle between us and the market, and there are two ways to go around it if you were playing this game like a normal person. You can either take the side entrance or blast the front gate using the cannon in front. For the side entrance, all you really need is to get a valve from the Slaughtered Goat and carry it all the way to the lower gate, which allows you to raise it and go on your merry way. Unfortunately, the interior of the Slaughtered Goat sits comfortably behind a loading screen, and while I would be able to drag the valve around inside the tavern, there's nothing I can do to carry it over to the outside, leaving me no choice but to blast the front gate. The front gate is a more direct, violent approach, requiring you to fire the cannon right in front of it to blast it open. The problems with this seem more prominent as you don't have to carry around one, but 3 objects to fully assemble and fire the cannon. You need gunpowder, which you can get with a horn in your inventory, a fuse, which you can carry around, and a cannonball, which you can carry around, but you need to pull out from your inventory first. However, what if there was an easier way to fire the cannon? Turns out, you don't even need to fire the cannon yourself. If you make yourself visible in front of the gates, the huntsman will panic and fire at you. It just so happens that the huntsman will fire the cannon no matter where you point it. I feel like you see what's going on here. That's right. All you have to do is turn the cannon around, point it at the gate, then give the huntsman a friendly wave, and they will kindly shoot the cannon for you. But that somehow doesn't destroy the gate. I think it killed one of them though. Well, no matter. We just have to get some keys from this guardhouse, open the storage, borrow this explosive barrel, and that should do it. Finally, we've managed to enter the market. Our next objective is to reach the merchant's shop. To do that, we need simply to acquire an emerald ring, which if you already know where to look, is an extremely easy task. We enter the shop next to us so as to not arouse suspicion from the guards around us, and after a quick stop at the save point, we take the rear exit. From this point, it's just a matter of avoiding a few guards and, these things, until you reach the barber shop. That's not good. Despite what it might seem like, these little fellas are actually sleeping. So as long as we keep very, very quiet, we should be safe. And after avoiding the glass and leaves scattered along the floor because the devs hate me personally, we make our way down and shut the door behind us to our immediate relief. Now all that's left is to pick the emerald ring off that nasty corpse and shove it in the green flame, and then we can take our newly unlocked elevator right up to the merchant's store. Full disclosure, when I started this run, I didn't know how this would work. When I originally played this game, I didn't take the elevator and instead I went for another route. Well, in any case, what matters is that we're now safe and sound. After being chastised by the merchant for something we actually didn't do, we leave him to ramble to himself and settle in our new bedroom for a moment. Real funny ass one. After a quick rest, we head back out, paying no mind to the ominous noises coming from the attic, and we take a key from the merchant, which will allow us to access the next area in the game, the Underport. To reach it, we simply take the route we came from, activate this lever, take the higher ground, and then jump into the water and unlock the gate. Let me tell you, this part of the game is when things really start to pick up. If you thought you experienced the best, my friend, oh, you're so wrong. However, we're not here to admire the scenery, or the combined weeks of blood, sweat and tears that the dev team put into the beautiful level design. We are here to do a job. Our first mission here will be to reach the Vandermeer Shipping and Receiving Company building. To gain access to it, we'll need to open the tunnel that leads into that part of town, which requires us to have a quick detour at the Public Works pump station. After avoiding a few patrols and saving again, we can deal with that problem by simply just entering the building and hitting the required lever while the guards engage in some friendly workplace gossip. We can now make our way back up and immediately back down as we hit the water and enter the tunnels. After a few uneventful moments of nothing in particular happening, we reach our destination. Unfortunately, we find that the manager's office is currently on lockdown, but we may be able to open it if we cut the power to the building completely. Our next goal then is to make it to the power plant. Through the side of this building is a tunnel which will take us into a passageway leading to said power plant. A tunnel that's been unfortunately barred. Now, before I begin this section, my pride and joy of the entire run, it does pain me to say that while writing my script I actually came across a ridiculously simple way to bypass this little problem and many others littered through the run, therefore invalidating my previous solution. However, for the sake of entertainment and keeping what little remains of my ego after this discovery, I'll ignore it for now and come back to it after the main part of the video is done. So, stick around. Well, there's one more way to get to the power plant, but we're gonna need some stuff. Specifically, 2 crates, 2 bags, and a barrel. We can easily obtain both the barrel and the bags from the Underport and get both crates from the Vandermeer storage area. Well, technically you only need 1 crate, but that's only if you're good. Or lucky. I still don't really get how these things work. It'll all make sense once we carry our goods to this small hole over here and stack both crates and the barrel on top of each other. Normally with only 1 crate and 1 barrel you could already make it through to the other side of this barrier, but the other side leads to a flooded section of the power plant, and whoever said electricity and water don't mix is a liar. They mix incredibly well. So we're also going to want to use our specially insulated bags and throw them over there, being able to turn them into a makeshift raft with the sheer power of the game's physics engine. Once on the other side, we reach the main generator and flip it off. Before we flip it back on, we want to give power to the subterranean flow complex activated by this switch and take it from the Vandermeer building controlled by this one. This will allow us to enter the manager's office while granting power to the entrance of the Hive. However, we won't be hitting the main switch just yet, as we'll take the back entrance one last time. I guess for those of you who haven't played the game or the Hive update and are confused about these steps, you should know why I'm doing this, so I'll explain it as I head back. To access the Hive, a special tunnel was constructed, and to open this tunnel we need 2 things. Power to the subterranean flow complex, which we've just achieved, and a special crank to operate the entrance, which sits in the safe of the manager's office at Vandermeer's. Once back in Vandermeer, we enter the office and head to the safe. We enter the code. If you can't see the numbers in the safe, which is sometimes a thing, just remember to interact with each of the 3 slots twice, and thrice respectively. And we open the safe to begin our journey, dragging the... Are you kidding me? Yeah, so fun fact, the devs thought it'd be hilarious if you couldn't actually grab this crank and for some reason had to keep it in your inventory. Really, what's the point of this? That's super bad actually. Incredibly so. The only way to enter the Hive so far is through those tunnels, and the only way to enter the tunnels is with the crank. Oh, and believe me, I know you can technically move the crank by using objects from the world, but I tested it, okay? If you could somehow, by some madman sheer of will, manage to get the crank all the way over there, you couldn't push it over with an object. It'll only work if you push it yourself. So it actually saddens me to say this, but for the first time in the entire run, I am well and truly stuck. There's no fancy way for me to get around it, no parkour, no amount of crates I can stack or guards I can steal keys from that would help me enter this Hive because of just this little crank. And because of this, I must apologize, but in order to at least continue the run, and according to the rules, I am entitled to use no clip for just this one time. So we swallow our pride, and in turn, the pit swallows us. We land, our fall cushioned by the corpses of those before us, to find another barrier. This one gets even more stupid. There's no way around it, and not even any objects to break these things. There's only this dumb brick, but I can't throw it, and no matter how much I drop it from above, it's not nearly enough to... Oh. We quickly head to the nearest save room and pray for our safety among the incoming struggle that is the Hive. No huntsmen or dogs here, all that you will find are the extremely dangerous crowmen. Lucky for us, they're incredibly blind and deaf, and we can deal with them mostly by walking around them without much care. So as to prevent going too near to them, though, we'll be snatching this key and using it to open tunnel number 2. From there, we avoid the lone crowmen and eventually take a path to the bridge. As you can see, I've neglected to open the door, but it doesn't matter. With just a few carefully memorized blind jumps, we can skip right ahead to the monitoring station. If you value your sanity, you should save and bring a crate with you, as we'll be entering a nest of sleeping crowmen. We use the crate to go up into the rafters, and before anyone realizes there's a free meal delivery straight to their home, we jump down and gun it into the hole below. We fall and get reminded that we don't have a sword and should be very careful not to wake the babies. We snatch the key from this corpse, we head out the normal exit for this place, use the key to unlock this maintenance room, and drop down into what's admittedly a very cool sequence.
I was just a little girl when the city built the first of the tunnels. I watched how the workers dug down deeper and deeper until the darkness suffocated every bit of their bodies. They brought back with them remnants of an ancient city that we had only heard of in tales.
And finally, the Underport seal lies in our grasp. We do a couple celebratory hops in the corpse pile, open a shortcut to a save point, and head deeper into the real Hive. At this point, our objective is boiled down to avoiding patrols and getting the exit elevator to work. The elevator is powered off, and to power it back on, we need to fuel a generator, for which we need to carry some fuel barrels. So we'll be taking the following steps in a very precise manner to pull this off. Enter the fueling room, grab one of the barrels, fuel and hide, carry it across the place with an incredible patrol energy on your side, fuel the generator, confirm the other barrel doesn't have any fuel, carry it back, encounter a crow king, leave the barrel behind and run away, get back to the fueling room, grab the other barrel, fuel it, don't hide, carry it across with another incredible patrol energy, commit the stupidest mistake of your life since your birth, create another barrel and hide, get a crewmate to step into the room because of the noise, he in turn gets a friend, wait for them to leave and get the barrel and fuel it, realize you screwed through patrols for yourself, try to take the high road and fail miserably, activate the barrel machine again hoping to get the crewmate again, realize that he won't be attracted to the noise now that it's convenient for you, fail to pull up the barrel anyways, take the normal path, have the worst luck again and finally carry the barrel across and fuel the generator. Once the steps are done, turn on the generator, call the elevator down and stay hidden. You'll be completely safe here, so feel free to take a bathroom break or something as the elevator slowly slides down. And once that is done, the run is over. There are no more dangers, no more obstacles in our way. The worst has passed. We're finally safe. We're finally free. And all that's left is a long yet peaceful climb for which we need the harpoon gun. Motherfuck! Once at the top through legitimate means, we save for almost the last time, climb out the toilet, steal a key, jump into the water, and slowly but surely make our way back to the merchant. Once there, he congratulates us as we steal his bountiful supply of beans, and we're greeted with our end goal. A painful reminder that the game is not yet finished, and I'll have to come back to this challenge once it is. We head to our room, save for the last time, and close the game. And with that, the challenge is done. Despite some setbacks, I'd call this a pretty big success. Sure, I needed to use no-clip a grand total of 2 times, but one of them could be easily solved. Which is why, if for some obscure reason this video happens to find its way to one of the Gloomwood devs, I beg of you, please make that crank able to be dragged. I don't even want to ask for the run to be optimized for inventory list, because that's clearly not what your game's about, and it's what makes this challenge a challenge. I just wish we had the option to enter the Hive in this very stupid way. That's it, really. The rest of the game's amazing. Please keep it up. I eagerly await what's next. And, you know, if you need some voice actors, playtesters, let me know. Now, before I wrap it up, I'd like to have a quick rundown of some alternate routes you can take in certain areas. There's not really any better or worse routes to this, but I did think the main route made for the most entertaining one. Your mileage may vary. In the Fishery, you can skip distracting the guard and just go past them, then take a couple calculated jumps into this vent to end up in the roof instead of taking the chain. I must admit I actually have a bit of difficulty with these jumps, and I don't think there's any particularly significant time gain over the chain, which I feel is more consistent. In the mines, you can still do the complete section if you somehow feel like doing it, and it won't provide any difficulty, as all you really need to do to distract the dogs is a piece of meat in your hand that you can throw when needed. But like, why would you do that? In the cliffside, I'm really ashamed to admit I just completely forgot about this. Yeah, you can just use the tunnel underneath the starting house and break the boards down with a good pickaxe throw to get across. This'll get you past all the gods easily. In the lighthouse, yeah, I really did just figure out you can break boards with thrown objects in the middle of writing this, okay? I told you, it was very poorly researched. It doesn't matter though, because taking the gate is still the fastest way to get the keys. There's a couple other ways to get to the merchant, but my two favorite ones are stacking these barrels along these crates, dodging the god's eyesight and hearing, or very boldly, and I hope you don't mind the gamma for this section, climb the barber's shop, incurring some damage along the way. Both of these paths lead you to this bridge, where you can just take a pipe to the store. In the Underport, look, I don't want to talk about it, okay? My way's more fun and has way less crows to deal with. But finally, the ultimate skip, one that could lower the amount of no-clips in the run to just one, could have been 0 in other circumstances, but still involves a boundary break. Heading to the Vandermeer building, we can go up to this room and taking advantage of some geometry from the outside of the building, we can manage to get at the top of the map. What follows next is a series of difficult traversal as we circle the entire area, until finally we can jump into this small room, which leads us back to the exit of the Hive. That's right, we can actually technically enter the Hive without using no-clip, even though it still involves going out of bounds. Now, let's get the biggest question out of the way. You can't go down at all. The elevator is powered off, so it won't go down, and this little shaft is just narrow enough that you won't be able to drop through it, which is very frustrating, even though it most likely would spell your death. We're not here for that, though. All that we're here for is to drop two simple items at the bottom of the pit, a bag and a shovel. Then we head back, drop down into the Hive via the normal entrance, and continue until we can ascend and see the bag and shovel at the bottom of the pit again. See, there's some weird tech discovered lately, like most of these games with these types of physics have, where you can technically force a prop to interact with a prop you're holding, in this case a bag and a shovel respectively, and scoop you up, which would get you flying. Problem is, I can't do it. I'm much too stupid and impatient to get something like this working, and even if I did, I certainly see a bigger problem with trying to fly straight up with the amount of obstacles in your way. So, doing this run with one no-clip and one boundary break is technically possible, but not for me. If someone can pull this off, please let me know in the comments. I'd love to see that. And with that, we're completely done. I think I've gotten one of the best possible runs you can have doing this challenge, but I'd love to be proven wrong. This is the first time I do a type of video like this, so let me know what you think. I know it took a while, but I severely underestimated how much work goes into something that seems as simple as this. If you'd like to see me do some more content in this fashion in the future, I don't really have many ideas, but suggestions are welcome. I'd also like to give a quick shout out to my friend Vicelayer, who's helped me find out a bunch of the skips featured in this video, namely the alternate fishery skip, the skip using the rafters in the Hive, everything involving the fact that I can break wooden boards, as well as giving me ideas which let me figure out the gods firing the cannon no matter what, and the shovel and bag skip. So go check him out. Anyways, have a good morning, evening, night, and afternoon, everyone, and I'll see you whenever I feel like making another one of these. In 2 months. Bye! Okay, afterword, right now. For those of you not in the know, Gloomwood released a new update some days ago, the research update. I dismissed it because I didn't think it'd be relevant to the run, but I just checked the patch notes, and damn, you can now beat the entire game with no inventory. That's right, they just made this entire thing irrelevant. I couldn't be happier. Now you can finally pick up that stupid golden crank, carry it around, and yes, even place it in the entrance to the Hive and actually operate it. Not only that, but a new secret exit has been added into the Hive. It requires you to hit 4 different switches found in different parts of the level. They're located near Gate 1, in the room past the Crowman, in Gate 2, below the save room after the bridge, and behind the cool sequence hallway. After that, you need to get a lever from a secret room located in a tunnel near Gate 1. The only real problem is the mutated rats, so just grab a brick, engage in some good old rat violence, get the crank, and place it in the gate room. Then you've done it. With the turbines off, you can swim out and back into the public works pumping station. So yeah, huge thanks to the devs who just made a big chunk of my video irrelevant, and I eagerly await whatever comes next for you guys. Anyways, for real now, thanks for watching and goodbye.